A big how's it and welcome to yet another episode of the now infamous Band Stripped. Our guest tonight is James Deacon, a very talented multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, who will be joining us in the Hot Studio for his Band Stripped feature, talking about his songs and playing us some of his music. Right here on Hot. Mr. James Deacon, welcome to the Band Stripped studio.
How's it, man? Thank you so much for having me.
This is your first time at Hot, right?
Yeah, it is.
You can feel the heat rising.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Fantastic. James, thank you for being on our show, and thank you for sharing and for agreeing to share your story with us today. Now, you're a multi-instrumentalist. Something must have sparked your desire or inspired your desire to start playing music at a young age, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I grew up in a super musical family. My mom plays piano and sings. She's always written music her whole life, but all just casually as for fun sort of thing. And then I have two brothers and a sister. All of them are fantastically talented musicians.
Are they all older than you?
All older than me, yeah, by a long way. It's,
you know the theory of the youngest sibling generally gets all the good
all
genes.
the attention and the good genes.
And gets to learn the most, actually, yeah.
Really? I know the stigma of getting all the attention and getting all the light treatment.
But it's also, they get the most knowledge. Because they learn everything that the siblings have done.
I would agree.
There's a theory, and I think it's a statistical fact, if I'm not mistaken, people can Google it if you're at home, but that the youngest in the family generally becomes the most successful in the family.
Really?
That's a good sign.
Probably because of collective knowledge.
Yeah.
Absorbing,
and the extra food and
exactly.
That type of thing.
The extra attention, yeah.
Exactly.
I suppose, I think, being the youngest of the family is what sort of put me on this path to where I am now. From the youngest age, just wanted the attention of all these older people around me, and it's then my next oldest brother is 8 years, then it's 12 years, then it's 15 years.
So it's quite a gap, yeah.
So it's big gaps, yeah.
And what's your relationship, your musical relationship with them like now?
So over time, I've actually worked with all of my siblings here and there. Like I've sung with my sister and her husband. He's a very amazing guitarist. He actually plays for Mango Groove. He's called Thomas. He's amazing. Yeah. He taught me a lot of what I know on guitar. So growing up around all of those different influences, I was forced to sort of work with these amazing musicians who were my family. So I think my first ever acoustic performance was with my brother Charles, and he and I entered some competition and we just went and played, and that was like one of my first sort of experiences of the South African live music scene. I was like, I think I was like 12 or 13.
How did you feel at the time when you played live?
Oh, I was nervous. Hey, I remember the sweat was dripping down my face. Afterwards, I was just like, okay,
like
something just happened.
Buzz.
I walked up and I was like, something just happened. I've never felt like this before. It was great, and I think I need to do this more. And then and I was in a band called Last Chance Seattle for about 5 or 6 years with my other brother. It was a grunge band, and it didn't really end well. We sort of disbanded, and our relationship went sour. And that's actually what my next single is. It's a song I wrote out of the inspiration of that.
Right.
So it's
Now you had your musical path hasn't been straightforward, right, so to speak. You had quite a life-changing event that I threatened your potential musical career. I was at a point in my life where I didn't really know where I fit, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I was sort of jumping from job to job, and I ended up working as a bartender, and I was studying music, but sort of feeling lost in music, and I didn't know if I wanted to go into it full time, so I was still in a sort of very tumultuous place in my life, and I was young as well. Lovely word, tumultuous, for Sunday night.
Yeah,
beautiful.
No, it's a good word.
Yeah. Tumultuous.
It was 2 years ago, I just remember I was 20 and didn't know what I was doing, and one night I thought I was going to have a normal night at work, and everything went bad. I was holding a bottle of Rose's passion fruit cordial, and I slipped behind the bar, fell on the bottle. It cut both my arteries, all the nerves and tendons on the right side of my right wrist. It's still to this day.
Fingers,
I have no feeling in half my hand and half my arm up to here, and very limited movement, that sort of thing. And the muscles all died in my hand because there were no nerves stimulating blood flow. And
that's quite traumatic for somebody who's playing guitar and violin at the time.
So when I was a kid, I started playing violin.
And you're right-handed, left-handed?
I'm right-handed, so it was a bit of a
this is your
shock.
strumming.
So it's a strumming hand. So for guitar and for violin, it was actually a blessing that it was my right hand. But for everything else, it was a curse because I'm right-handed. So opening doors, tying my shoelaces, everything. For the first 6 months, I couldn't even do anything for myself. I was living away from home, but because of the severity of the injury, I couldn't make food. My arm was in a cast. I was doing everything one hand.
So how did you recover from this now? What was the process to recover from this?
I remember it.
I was lost in my life, and this big thing happened, and I just remember thinking like, how am I going to get over this? How am I? Because it is basically, before the surgery they said you won't play guitar ever again. Yeah. And there's a very little chance you'll be able to play violin again unless you find your own way of doing it.
They always say a lot of things.
Yeah,
right?
they tend to be negative and,
what they tend to
tell you the worst case.
Is the fortitude of mind that may reside in an individual, such as yourself.
Thank you.
And you've obviously gone through a process which takes incredible mental strength and determination to get to this point.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mention that, because one of the things that the doctors attributed my fast and speedy recovery, and I've actually almost made a full recovery, which they said was nearly impossible for the severity of the injury. And they attributed to the fact that from the moment I came out of hospital, I picked up a guitar and I was trying. And
immediately
I couldn't not, because it's the way I sort of express myself and get and work through things in my life is writing songs and singing and playing guitar. And I remember sitting down like the first week, and my hand was in a cast. I couldn't even hold a pick, but I was just like hitting my hand into the strings and going. And every day I practiced more. And then my brother-in-law bought me a thumb pick, and then that gave me another sort of asset. I could actually intonate individual notes, and it was like, oh my god, I was slowly getting it back. And then I went to my doctor, and he was like, your recovery has sped up tenfold. And what he attributed it to, it was basically because I was stimulating my mind, and I was reusing my hand in a way that I used it before the injury.
I'm glad you said that. It was that a witchcraft, and he chose the former, so which is a better thing.
Yeah.
So
actually, shout out to that doctor. His name is Chetan Patel. He's absolutely incredible. He saved my life.
Well done, Chetan. Now, your first track that you're playing for us tonight is a track called Calling Home.
Yeah.
This is off your last EP. What is the story behind the song?
So
I know you like to talk about your stories behind your songs, so you're perfect for the show.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Yeah, no. I get told that I talk too much, so just tell me if I talk too much.
That's okay. You're here to talk.
Yeah, basically Calling Home is a sentimental one. It's a song that means a lot to me, and I basically wrote it during a really difficult time. My girlfriend's uncle was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer,
right.
And he was a sort of pivotal figure in the family, and it sort of destroyed the whole family when they found out, and he got really sick. And I, as sort of an outsider but still emotionally invested, was dealing with all these emotions, and I was
also watching it from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know him as well as they did, but I'd grown to know him very well right before he was diagnosed. So
observational songwriting.
Yeah, so it basically was that it was a cathartic release. I didn't write it thinking like this is going to be a song, or I just sat down and I was really emotional at the time, and I just started playing, and it started with a riff, and then as anyone who you're a musician, you know how songs go.
Was this before or after your accident?
This was after the accident. Yeah.
So this is something that when you started playing again, you obviously got to this point.
Yeah,
emotionally driven.
Yeah, I was at a point with this song. It's actually it was quite a demanding song to play on guitar. So this was quite a turning point for me writing wise, because I was finally able to use like sort of fingerstyle picking again since the accident. So it was great to actually get a tool back in my guitar playing. And yeah, it's basically the first verse is from the perspective of his son.
Right.
From someone who's losing his father, and watching it happen. And I wrote that while Anton was still alive. His name was Anton Kutzer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wrote that verse while he was still alive, and then there was a lot of obviously stuff in hospital, and then when he did pass away, I wrote the second verse from his perspective.
Yeah.
Not to profess that I have any ability to say the words that would have come out of his mouth, but it was sort of my interpretative.
That's your poetic license as a writer. I mean, Cat Stevens' Father and Son is written exactly like that, with that dual perspective from father and from son. So you know.
Yeah, I sort of wrote it from words that I'd heard him use, and sort of the manner that he spoke, and he was very a reassuring man. He was a calming presence, and I wanted that second verse to have that. So yeah, the song is sort of an emotional roller coaster for me as well, because it actually helped me get through that, and it helped the family a little bit. I hope they tell me that it really, really helped them, but yeah,
fantastic. Beautiful observational theory and a way to write a song, because it brings out really strong, powerful songs. That's James Deacon sharing a great story on his first track, Calling Home, right here on Bandstripped. just like lines across your face. Chemicals running through your veins, gathered around you like an altar, praying to gods I don't believe in. How do I see sense in all this pain? When my hero's gone, where will I shelter from the rain? Oh, I know they're calling you home. Oh, I know they're calling you home. 'Cause even when a star burns out, you'll see it for 1,000 years. I'll live every day for you. I'll never let them see my tears. Oh, 'cause even when a star burns out, you'll see it for 1,000 years. I'll live every day for you. I'll never let them see my tears. Never let them see my tears. Don't you be sad about my passing. I was surely born to die on this day. I carry the weight of my life upon my shoulders until the day when my legs couldn't hold no more. Oh, oh, don't you see? All my pain is gone. You will find your way to shelter from this storm. Oh, I know they're calling you. Oh, I know they're calling you. Oh, 'cause even when a star burns out, you'll see it for 1,000 years. I'll live every day for you. I'll never let them see my tears. Oh, 'cause even when a star burns out, you'll see it for 1,000 years. Oh, I'll live every day for you. I'll never let them see my tears. But you left the light on before you go. Want you to know, forever I'm gonna leave the light on. 'Cause even when a star burns out, you'll see it for 1,000 years. 'Cause even when a star burns out, you'll see it for 1,000 years.
Welcome back to Bandstrip. That was James Deacon with his first track called Calling Home. James, welcome back. Now, people are always, our audience is always interested in where our musicians come from. Now, you born and bred in Joburg, right?
Yeah.
Which part of Joburg?
So I was born in Sandton Clinic,
Right.
so Sandton, Ramberg.
That's very specific. I thought you were going to give me the ward number, but
Yeah, well, Ward 17. No. But yeah, I was born in Joburg, born and raised. I've traveled a little bit, but nothing really. And yeah, I am a Joburg boy. Yeah.
What are your favorite spots in Joburg that you remember that you have the fondest memories of?
Oh, that's a good question.
I love this.
Man.
I particularly love this city. I think it's very beautiful.
There's a view from sort of also the same sort of vibe of where Santon Clinic is.
Yeah.
There's like I think it's called Santon View or something. It's got this amazing view of the sort of horizon with Santon City in the background, and it's really cool. It's got this sort of like bubbling metropolis vibe.
Yeah. Which school did you go to?
I went to St. Stithians.
Oh, okay, so you travel from Randburg to St. Stithians.
Yeah, so it was a long commute.
Oh, okay. Did you play sport there?
No, not so much. I was on a music scholarship, so most of my time was taken up being in choirs and playing music and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I did play basketball and football. I love football.
Oh, okay. Now you mentioned musical influences in your family, right? You mentioned your mum being a musician.
Yeah.
On your dad's side.
Yeah. So my dad, he loves music and he's also quite musical, but his family doesn't really have that sort of musical gene.
Right.
Whereas my mom's side is all opera singers, and everybody, if you track it back, the whole family's been
Right,
musical.
I see.
But my dad, as soon as he met my mom, she sort of stimulated him to start learning clarinet and guitar, and he's always dabbled with that sort of thing. And he's also very musical. So it came from both, and he has very strong musical tastes, and he loves his record player, and I have super fond memories of growing
So a lot
up
of your listening
to,
came from your dad's
a
influences
lot
as
of
well.
that stuff like Toto and a lot of older references and stuff that I use as inspiration nowadays, because most of the music I listen to is from that sort of time, the Jimi Hendrix sort of era. And I got all of that from my parents and my brother Charles as well. He also basically gave me my sense of music. So
What is the best thing that you can say, the single most important thing you've learned from your family, from anyone in your family?
Oh, that is a good question.
I only ask good questions, James.
No, that's a very good question. I'd say it's the bit of advice that I have tattooed on my arm. This was the last words my grandfather said to me.
That's Latin?
Yeah, it's Latin, but he had senile dementia, so I, as a 7-year-old, thought he was like having an episode and he didn't know what he was saying. But my mom later told me that what he said was illegitimi non carborundum, which means don't let and I can't say it, it's a bad word, but don't let the bad guys bring you down, basically.
Oh, nice, okay.
And he passed away.
It's quite a nice mantra about not giving up and
it's
keep fighting.
Keep
fighting, James.
It stuck with me a lot, and I was obviously very young, and when I heard it, I didn't understand what it meant, because I hadn't had anybody come and sort of stand in my way. And then as I grew and as life throws obstacles in your way, the advice became so much more applicable. And then when I was old enough to get tattoos, that was one of the first.
First thing on there. Yeah. Now, for a young man, you seem to have a great aptitude for storytelling. I can see that just from talking to you in these last 10 minutes or so. Now, it's a great thing for a songwriter. It's a great gift for a songwriter to be able to have. How do you channel those stories into your songs? I mean, I'm talking technically speaking. Do you feel the emotion, think of your subject matter, and then start writing, or do you create music and then start putting your subject matter afterwards?
Yeah, you are right. Not one bad question. All of your questions are fantastic. Yeah, that's basically, I'd say it's a case-to-case basis. It's sometimes songs happen because they needed to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just talking from my experiences. Sometimes I'll write a song because I needed to write a song at that point
to get it out of your system. And you spoke about catharsis. That's quite often your self-healing process also.
It is 100% it is my psychologist. My therapist is my guitar and an empty room.
You should name it now.
Yeah, exactly. I actually haven't named any of my guitars. I should. But it depends. Like Calling Home, for instance, that was obviously, as I said, it came from a really emotional experience, and then I was sort of struggling to deal with it, and I wrote a story, and I wrote something with a beginning, a middle, and an end, because sometimes life and situations don't give you a beginning, middle, and end, and if you don't have that closure, you feel uneasy and you start building, and that just creates stress for me. So for me, it's mostly self-experience, experience that I've had, or an experience that I've witnessed or have been very close to, because I don't like to write. I would hate to write and listen to the words and feel disingenuous and feel like those aren't my words.
So you haven't attempted writing about things you haven't really experienced, like complete conjecture or storytelling narrative and something else yet?
I actually have. It's not a perfect formula.
Well, the reason I asked that, I mean, I would imagine that David Bowie, well, he's an example. He probably experienced a lot of what he wrote about, but there are things obviously he didn't experience, but he wrote about these incredible stories and characters that were complete fantasy
and brought them to life. Yeah. So
But
there's
they-
the element of fiction is also great. Like I love to play with words, and I love to make hidden meanings and stuff. So all of my songs, certain sections or words or phrases,
Yeah.
like there's a point in I think it's, I don't actually know what song it is, but there's a point where I use the word exercise
Yeah.
in the context of exercising a demon.
Yeah.
So exercise the demons in your mind. But I pronounced it exercise, as in like
I see, as in
exercise the
exercise,
demons.
yeah.
So there's that. Whereas, so most of my songs, in order to keep myself sort of, I get bored easily, I think.
Yeah, no,
And
I think for a creative person, you need to do that. There's little clever caveats.
little things that, and
So
it's
that
just for
things
me.
that you know. And
yeah.
if somebody really loves your music, they'll eventually start picking up on things like
See, that's the thing, and I've picked up over time the people that the musicians that I love and adore.
Yeah.
If you listen to a song long enough, you can start to understand where they were writing it from. Especially being a songwriter myself, and I'm only a very recent songwriter. I'd say
Yeah.
I've written songs throughout my life, but only now am I doing it with a purpose, and
Yeah.
I have a vision, and I have an idea of sort of the sort of songs I want to create, and the future songs that I want to have. And I think that altogether is my process. It's sort of, I have an idea of a song, I'll start an idea, I will try and draw it from some sort of emotional background or some sort of experiential
Yeah. And then put it together into
and then
your-
put it together and then try and give it a home, and put
Yeah.
all the places, everything where it needs to be, and then develop it through production and that sort of thing.
Now tell us about Mama.
Mama, the original title, the Mama was the title we went with, but the sort of working title was
Yeah.
Mama Didn't Raise No Quitter, because that's the sort of the chorus melody.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sort of, I wrote this from a place of anger, and it was because a lot of the people around
Yeah, I
me,
sort of took that from the title a little bit, yeah.
yeah, see, like you with the title with Mama, you think it's going to be one thing, and then the song's actually about something else.
Yeah.
The whole song is about how I think that the misuse of technology and social media and stuff, misuse, not the use, because I think social media and technology is an amazing tool.
Yeah, listen, for every beautiful thing that's created, there's always
There's
the
an
potential
antithesis,
for it to be abused. You know?
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And yeah, I was going through a time where a lot of people around me were complaining about going on social media and just constantly seeing these perfect lives, and
Yeah.
people saying, I had a friend who said he went to go and watch his favorite band or someone. They came to South Africa, and he was so excited, and he went, and he ended up coming away from it so angry because all the people in the golden circle section just had their phones
Phones
up.
out, yeah.
They were experiencing the music through
Yeah.
a screen.
I sort of get that, but I don't understand it from an experiential point of view.
Yeah,
you know?
for me, I understand that completely, capture the moment. But I think it gets to a point where people have started to live this sort of double life. And
Yeah.
people have their social media life, and they have their
So
real
slightly
life.
divorced from real emotion.
Yeah, and it's devoid from real substance, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it's sort of just that. It's an angry song, and it's also got a hint of, I want to succeed, and I also want the attention, and I want to be an idol, and I
Yeah.
want people to follow me. But in the same way, I can see how that technology and that idolization can destroy a person. So
Very
it's
cool.
sort of
Very cool subject matter, and a nice angle for a song, because from reading from the title, just the title as it is now, you wouldn't tell that, right?
Yeah.
So this is James Deacon. You've heard the story. For listeners at home, I'm sure you're all as curious as I am now to listen to Mama. This is it, right here on Bandstripped on Hot.
Don't wanna be the same. I don't wanna concede. I left the bridges in flames. They spark my need to succeed. But when I look around, faces facing the ground, locations are shared, but no one is found. Oh, the world keeps praising all your ignorance, telling you there ain't nothing wrong with that. Creating generations, screen protected animations, now they don't know how to straighten their back. I'm so tired of hearing how somebody hurt your feelings from 100,000 miles away. Look at me and what do you say? I want the whole world to know my name, 'cause mama didn't raise no good guy. Mama didn't raise no quitter. Taking my piece of the price, trying to capitalize, shift, typing circles round the eyes, effect of butterflies, changes come in endless enterprise, try to humanize, code is running, hypnotize, all the ones and O's aligned, falling. I was born to see my name posted on your wall, gave up on my past and now I'm answering the call, altering my future to delete my self-control, altering my future to delete my self-control. I need the masses to follow my footsteps, won't stop till I become one of your false messiahs. Keep rolling till the battle's won. Yeah, mama didn't raise no die. Mama didn't raise no quitter. 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 Yeah.
Welcome back to Bandstrip. That was James Deacon with his second track called Mama. Thank you, James. Thank you for that.
Awesome.
Now, after listening to your songs and when doing presses, etc., and as you're building your career, you start to read a lot about musicians and you read about their influences, what's inspired them, and generally, what's written on a piece of paper is a PR document, but it doesn't say everything that you want to say because it'll be probably about 30 pages long, right?
Yeah, you've got to keep it concise.
You got to keep it at 2 pages or something.
Yeah.
Now, you have a range of influences in music, and from what I can pick up in listening to your music, not reading about your music, was that there's quite a range of from grunge to alternative to soul.
Glad you picked up on the grunge.
There is a modernism to that, and I listen to a lot of music, so I've had multiple references. But all that together makes you quite unique as a musician in terms of the sound that you're creating, even the way you're recording your vocal right now, right? Very technical thing, but it's also very unique. So what are the influences that you would say are the most prominent ones that have shaped your music career so far?
Okay, so are you talking specifically people who are in the music industry or famous people?
Artists,
or can it be anyone?
Artists, musicians, anyone who shaped your sound.
I'd say the moment I wanted to learn guitar, and that was a big moment, was the moment I heard All Along the Watchtower, which is by Jimi Hendrix, but it's originally by
I just listened to the Bob Dylan version.
Is it?
In my car yesterday.
Dude, I love that version.
And I'll tell you why I was listening to it, because we had an artist on last week. His name is Lucas J.
Okay.
And he played All Along the Watchtower in the studio.
Oh, hectic. That's amazing, man.
Look at that.
I'm gonna go check that out. That sounds amazing. Yeah, that song is a masterpiece. And
there's a Hendrix version.
Yeah, the Hendrix version is the one.
There's also a U2 version.
Yeah, and there's another one. I think like the Cause or something. David also did a version. Yeah, and it was a weird sort of like.
They're probably talking about a different Watchtower, but
yeah, exactly. I feel like that's a very good. I feel like Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix were talking about completely different Watchtowers.
Yeah.
And they sing the song the same, but the feeling is different. That's one thing for me. I've never been confident enough to. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. That's part of an artist's tapestry, right? Is that what most people don't know is that as artists we appear to be confident, we appear to be amazingly strong, but we are also filled with self-doubt because every time we create something and release it, we're putting a part of ourselves out there.
Yeah, I think
to be judged or to be interpreted.
Yeah, so you're putting a piece of your heart out there. Yeah, that's a very difficult thing, especially when you put a lot of heart into your stuff and you put it out there and you're just hoping that people are gonna empathize with it. But what I mean is the sort of Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan thing is such an amazing cover. He took it and he just made it his own, and he made that song. And when I heard that for the first time, I
was like, what is this? I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what it was. I heard it on like an unmarked CD, so I didn't know who Hendrix was.
So on the grunge vibe, just to dive into that a little bit, did you ever listen to bands like the Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam?
Yeah, Pearl Jam. Oh, I love Eddie Vedder all day. Sad and Alone by Pearl Jam, two of my favorite songs of all time.
And where did the R&B or the soul influence come from? Then?
So I've always loved hip hop, always loved rap, always tried to dabble
on the track that we were talking about earlier. What was the track called? Look Out.
Yeah.
Who's doing the rapping on that track?
That's me.
Wow.
Me, yeah. So,
that is unbelievable.
Thank you.
That is really, really good.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks. It was a bit of a thing for me. I had to sort of overcome the...
You had a very natural Jason Mraz vibe going in it. It was just like rolling with it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It was weird because I've loved rapping and I've done it always throughout my music career. I've always done a bit of rap here and there, but never anything released. I've never released anything where I'm rapping because you put yourself up with the caliber of rappers that are out there and the lyricists and the genius behind the lyrics. And I think when I finished Lookout, I was for the first time like, this is good. I can release this. This holds up well to my influences and to the hip hop sort of that I listen to. And I wanted to have a sort of Limp Bizkit sort of vibe. I don't know if I love Limp Bizkit and it's sort of like hard and it's always talking about something cool and there's double meanings and so it was
a very contemporary vibe to it.
A little bit electronic, a little bit rock.
You're embracing everything musically. I mean, I think that's the thing. It's difficult to really pigeonhole musicians, and when people listen to my music now, the only way I can describe it is as alternative because it doesn't really fit into any particular genre except that it could fit into many.
It could fit into all. Yeah, exactly. I struggle with the same thing. I mean, I'm only 22, so I'm still discovering my sound, and I'm still sort of working it through.
What a beautiful age, man! The world is an oyster.
I agree. I agree. I'm really, really happy, and I'm glad that because when I was younger, I didn't appreciate the younger years, and now in my 20s, I'm starting to sort of understand the importance of appreciating.
Still in your younger years, musically speaking.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially in my music. I mean, I feel like the difference between the first EP and this new one that's coming out on the 22nd, the first single comes out, and the growth that I felt as a musician from the first EP to the second is phenomenal. Like I have no idea. I can barely even remember the person I was when I wrote this.
That's a very good point that you picked up on, right? So I want you to cast your mind 20 years into the future. You are now 42. What would you want to be able to say that you've achieved in music and in your life at that point?
42. At least one Grammy.
Right.
Sama. I want to be respected musician. I want people to, when my name is mentioned, I want people to say that guy's good, or that guy's got game. Like that's
and have a sort of decent body of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And be proud of.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs that I haven't written yet that I really need to write.
See, that's the great thing about songwriters, right? Yeah. Because I can tell you're gonna get. I'm 45. I'm still writing songs. And I still feel like that. I still feel like there's
a couple more in the bank.
There's songs that are in there that are brilliant that still have to come out. Yeah. So it keeps me playing. It keeps me writing.
Yeah, and that's actually something one thing that I learned a lot from the first EP to the second EP is I basically grew so much between the two that I've now sort of I see the songs in a different way and I create in a different way and and it's amazing to sort of to look back at those songs and say, okay, I always thought that creativity was something that had a limit, and that you can only write a certain amount of songs, and then you're going to be done, and there's nothing more left in your brain.
But it'll keep coming. Yeah,
but it's not. I always assumed that that's how it was. Like you got X amount of things you can do, and then you gotta. But it's not. It's almost a limitless well if you're stimulating your brain and your music with the right stuff, and you're surrounding yourself with the right influences and the right people, and that's most of my influences come from people that I've met. So I mean, musically, it's Hendrix, John Mayer. Yeah. But with guitar, I learned my first guitar chord from my brother-in-law Thomas.
Right. Was it a basic C?
Yeah, I know. I actually think it's the first chord of Purple Haze, which is like an E sus something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a
Your
weird
first chord is E sus.
Nice. It was a weird, crazy thing, and I'd never played guitar before, and I was just like, I want to learn that chord, and he was like, no, and I was like, but I want to learn that one though, and he was like, just try with like C, and I was like, no, that one though.
No, I get that. Now you've got a new single coming out. It's called Hero.
Yeah.
Also known as Rich.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
When is that released? What date is that released on?
Yeah, so that's coming out on the 22nd of November.
Okay, so a couple of days away. Very exciting. And now you're going to be playing that song in a short while for us. But what is the song about? And this is obviously part of your new phase of creativity, the second evolution of James Deacon.
Yeah. James Deacon.
That's a great album title, by the way.
That's actually a great
Melissa,
idea.
if you're listening, this is your second evolution of James Deacon. You're welcome.
This is a hectic song that I wrote this song at the same time as I was writing the songs from the first EP.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in the running to be included with my first EP. But I ended up feeling that it was an amazing idea and it was a great song, but it just hadn't reached its potential. And I felt like I needed to sit on it for a while. And often with songs, you end up sitting on it and forgetting about it.
Figuratively, obviously. But
not actually literally sitting on it. Well,
sure.
You could print it out and I'll sit on it right now. But basically, I wrote it about the relationship with my brother, my oldest brother, Richard. We were in a band together.
Beautiful formal English names: James, and Richard.
Ginty is my sister's name.
Oh, that's the one that's different.
Yeah, well, she was the unique first child, and she got the cool name, and we all got English kings' names. So my brother Richard, we were absolutely inseparable for a long period of time, and he was one of my greatest influence. He was my hero.
You were his Padawan.
Yeah, I was his Padawan. I learned a lot from him, both in life and in every facet of life. And
fantastic. That's a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah, but the dark side to that is that with any great relationship, especially with family, as I think anyone can understand, family can become strained. Yeah, it's difficult, and I think for a lot of reasons, our relationship got negative, and it started to sort of negatively influence both of us, and it ended up in a huge fight, and we haven't spoken in a long time. And
well, hopefully the song is something that gives both of you thought to realize that life is way too short to hold and harbor, and hopefully form a part of your catharsis in terms of maybe in 5 years' time you could feel differently, he feels differently.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. I think the where I wrote this song was from a place of anger, confusion, hurt. It was in that moment, yeah. And I don't regret it, and I don't think anything other than it was just that moment. I captured sort of it was a screenshot of how I felt right then at the heat of our fight and our relationship crumbling. And it's not like every time something happens in my life I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great chance for me to write a song. It's more like
it's organic.
It's organic, and it really is like therapy. And I wrote the song, and the way I'm going to do it for you today is a very blues acoustic version. This is exactly how I wrote the song.
Oh, lovely.
But when the song comes out on the 22nd of November, the big difference in what you'll hear is that the song is a lot more uplifting, and it's a lot more...
a different tone.
The production, instead of being blues and rock...
Well, that's very exciting for our listeners, because they're going to get to hear the original version of the song and how it was written.
And it goes back to what you said about how going back, you can look back at something and say, you know what, I actually look at this situation differently. And so this song I wrote about 1.5 years ago, and now when we finished it just now before we're releasing it on the 22nd, the amount of almost metamorphosis that the song took on is sort of an insight to how my opinion on the matter changed. It started out anger and
that's beautiful
and hate, and then
timestamp on it.
And then as time went on, the more I listened to the way we'd recorded it, it felt wrong, and it felt my emotions had changed, and I'd sort of come to peace with our relationship and the pitfalls and my responsibility for the bad stuff and the good stuff, and the way I sing, even the way I delivered the vocals for the final recording of this is from that perspective. So it's an old song that I rejuvenated for the way I feel about it now.
Fantastic. Well, very exciting for us and the audience who's listening to us tonight. This is James Deacon with his third and final track on Band Stripped. It's a beautiful story behind the song. It's called Hero, and it's a must listen to.
face full of smoke, choking back the tears. The demon you awoke has spoken to your fears. Air has lost its hope in a broken stack of chairs. Fibers of a rope to drag you up the stairs. Sitting on your hands cause there's nothing else to do. Occupied with thoughts of a time when this was new. Ears pressed to the speakers, we're waiting on the news. You're dreading my success, just wishing it was you. You used to be my hero. You're standing at my side. You take away my fear. Oh, now you're stripped of all your pride. And now it's like a war. Troops are on the ground. The fire's in the sky. Bodies lying all around. A fist full of voices, you can take your pick. Tied yourself together, I can see it makes you sick. Taking all your options and beat them till they bend. Your anchor is your downfall, she's lying in your bed. Running out of health and running out of steam. Tried to get away, but it's like you're in a dream. Punching underwater, the ocean feels your scream. Always held me back, took time for me to see. You used to be my hero, standing at my side. You take away my fear, oh, now you're stripped of all your pride. And now it's like a war. Troops are on the ground. The fire's in the sky. Bodies lying all around.
Welcome back to the Bandstrip Studio. My guest tonight is James Deacon, and he's shared his story and played 3 wonderful songs for us. James, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Now,
Thank you so much.
for the audience out there, where can they find you on social media firstly?
So the easiest way to get a link to all my socials is to go to my website. It's www.jamesdeacon.co.
.za?
No, not .za, just .co.
Just .co.
Yeah, just .co. No,
Oh,
ZA?
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's like when you say like a phrase and you don't finish, it's like
Yeah,
he
exactly.
who hesitates
.co?
is...
ZA.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's like a science teacher.
That's it, yeah.
Turn to page.
All right, so jamesdeacon.co.
Yes.
And then from there, there's links to all your social media, Instagram,
Instagram,
Facebook,
Twitter, Facebook, everything. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And you can follow the journey.
Okay, so you know where to find James. Now, where do you find his music and listen to buy his music?
So any streaming platform that you can think of, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer,
Right, Google.
every platform, Google Music, yeah, absolutely.
The works.
Any platform you can think of, it'll be up there.
Fantastic. So, audience out there, please go out and support James Deacon. You've heard his story, now support his music. And another wonderful South African artist right here from Randburg. It's an amazing story, a Joburger. James, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best and in the release of your second EP.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I personally love your music and I love your style. It's authentic and original, and I think you're very, very talented. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
Cheers, man.
It's been a pleasure. Awesome.
Hot 91.9.
Playing the best old school and R&B.